Hello y'all, and welcome to YoungFolk Knits. Today I'm chatting all about one of the most famous patterns worldwide as far as knitting goes, and it is the Ranunculus sweater. But what I want to focus on is modifications to this pattern. Things you can do, things I have done, things I want to do. Can you take a great pattern and make it even better? I think so. So stick around and we'll jump right into it. Hello y'all, and welcome back to YoungFolk Knits. My name is Casey, and on this channel I share all about my love of fiber arts. So a lot of knitting, there's also some sewing, some spinning, and whatever else I might get up to around here. I also occasionally share about living on a small farm here in Arkansas where my husband, myself, and our children are beekeepers. We love gardens and animals and chickens and spending time outdoors in the foothills of the Ozarks. So if any of that sounds like it might be your cup of tea, then make sure and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on any future content. Today I'm talking all about a pattern that is probably the most widely knit pattern in the world, and it is the Ranunculus. But I'm not just talking about the pattern itself. I really want to focus on modifications you can make to this pattern. So you've got one pattern and you can use it to create all kinds of different sweaters, tees, warm weather knits, cold weather knits, all kinds of different yarn, different sleeves, just a lot of different modifications that you can make. So I really want to share the things I have done, the things I want to do, and things that I have found others have done, which I really, really love and think would make a wonderful addition to a Ranunculus sweater. Before we dive into it though, I want to share a little bit about something that I'm wearing. And it's not a knitted item, it is actually makeup. Last year I really discovered the beauty brand Merit, and ever since then it has been a love relationship. I am not able to wear a lot of makeup on my face. I have very sensitive skin, but not only that, I don't feel like I have time to do that on a daily basis, and I don't really like the way it feels on my face. So instead I opt for multitasking, simple, few-step products that I can use to very quickly add some color and life into my face. And Merit checks all of those boxes. It's a minimalist beauty brand. They create products that are safe for the body, the skin, and the planet. To me, something Merit does a great job of is covering the essentials. The fewer the steps involved in my routine, the more likely I am to actually do it. First thing I start off with after I have a clean face and skin is the Brow 1980. I love this stuff. It gives some nice color and some lift and volumization to my eyebrows, so it looks very natural. I use the shade brown, and I love the name Brow 1980 because it's just a total nod to the 80s. I keep it very simple. Next up, I use the Flush Balm in the color Beverly Hills. This is a cream tint that just melts into your skin and gives you that lit from within color. I also apply it on my eyelids for a little bit of color there, and it just sort of ties the entire face together. And then for a quick and simple look, you can just add some of their amazing Clean Lash mascara. I love this mascara. It tints, it lengthens, it lifts lashes. I don't have fallout under my eyes. Last but not least, to get that polished, put together look, I really love their signature lip lightweight lipstick. They have a new color out, which is called Ginger, and it's in the Satins selection. And this is like my lips, but better. I love this, and it feels great. It's super lightweight. And then to top it off, I use my other favorite product from them, which is the Shade Slick Tinted Lip Oil. Y'all, this feels so good on your lips. gives you that wash of moisturizing color so that you just look like you have these full, healthy lips. If y'all would like to try Merit for yourself, you can click on my affiliate link in the description. You can see these new colors and new products that have launched. I give them a thumbs up. And with your first order, you get this absolutely adorable makeup bag. To me, this is my color, y'all. So it's a super fun corduroy top bag, and it's just perfect to put your essential makeup in, or you could use it as a project bag. Thanks again, Merit, for sponsoring today's video. And now let's jump into all the Ranunculus modifications. All right, y'all, as I mentioned, Ranunculus, one of the most widely knit patterns in the world. In fact, if you check on Ravelry, there are 24,000 projects just listed on Ravelry, and lots of people do not use Ravelry. So this is a pattern by Midori Hirose. The pattern comes with 11 different sizes, but what makes this pattern so special is that it has the ability to use any yarn weight from lace to worsted, and a recommended US 10 needles or size 6mm, and with that you can create all kinds of different finished objects. The pattern comes with instructions for short sleeve, for long sleeve, and it has actually been updated in the last few years. Originally, I feel like this pattern only came in one size. Now, that may not be correct. It may have just come in a few sizes, but the whole point of the pattern was that you're supposed to be able to take even one skein of a lace weight yarn, and using this extremely open gauge US 10 6mm needles, you could take one skein and create a top from that one skein. The pattern has evolved over the years. I think it was originally released in 2017 or something around there, and since then it has earned a place in many a knitter's heart. The pattern uses a twisted rib neckline and then some simple lace to create a lovely textured circular yoke. From the circular yoke, which you do have that normal circular yoke increasing, you then switch to raglan increases. So instead of the increases being divided up evenly, spread completely circularly around, it then switches to increasing just in specific raglan places to finish off. Once you reach that point, you then separate for the sleeves and knit the body, and then you can return and knit the sleeves to whatever length you want, or you have the option of casting off those sleeve stitches when you separate and just having a sort of cap sleeve top, knitted top at that point. I feel like she has set you up for endless possibilities. I have knit 2 and I'm working on a 3rd, and I have yarn for about 5 more. Most of my friends have knit multiples of these, as well as the abundant projects on Ravelry and Instagram where you can see so many different modifications. This was the first Ranunculus that I ever knit. And for this one, I chose a sport weight yarn, which was a base of linen, wool, cotton, silk, and viscose fibers, I believe. It was a sport weight base from Little Fox Yarn Co., which is no longer available, but they do have similar bases now that they carry to replace that. So I used the better part of 3 skeins. I would say 2.5 skeins to create this. And the first modification that I want to talk a little bit about is the neckline. So in the pattern, it has you cast on either with a tubular cast on or something to get you 60 stitches. Now, I feel like because of this extremely open gauge, I think it's really hard to even tell if you do a tubular cast on. The nice thing about a tubular cast on though is that it gives a lot of stretch. So something that I would recommend that is simpler and very stretchy as well is the twisted rib cast on. And what I like to do is, instead of casting on 60 stitches, I actually like to cast on about 70 stitches. You could also do 90 stitches, and there's a row right at the very end of the ribbing where you increase up to 90 stitches, and on that row you would simply knit because you would already have reached the increased number of stitches. If you do 70 stitches like I like to do, then you're only increasing 20 stitches instead of 30. So you would evenly disperse those 20 increased stitches throughout your pattern, throughout that row instead. I have done a German twisted cast on both this sweater and this sweater. And I have done 70 stitches for both of these as well. This is the second ranunculus that I knit, and it was made with 2 strands of fingering weight yarn held together. Ritual dyes in the Undine base in the color Slate. And I held those 2 yarns together to create a short sleeve version as well. Now, the second modification I want to talk about is the sleeves. So on this version, I followed the instructions for the long sleeve version, which is in the pattern, and I put my stitches on hold for the sleeves after I separated, and then I continued to knit the body. When I went back, I picked up my sleeve stitches according to the long sleeve instructions. However, I stopped at that point, and I just knit about 8 rows of stockinette. And then I switched to my ribbing needle and I did about 8 rows of twisted rib. And I then did just a regular bind off in pattern. This one I only did about 2 rows of stockinette, and then I did about 6 rows of twisted rib and I bound off. So that's a different look that you can have. If you want to do 3/4 length sleeves, then you can follow the instructions for the long sleeve and simply stop at the point that you want to. The pattern also has instructions on how to do a little bit of short row shaping with a I-cord bind off so that you have a really interesting cuff for the long sleeve, and I think that's beautiful. I also think that it's lovely if you're doing a winter version, especially, to just go ahead and knit the long sleeve and then do some twisted ribbing for the cuff for about 1.5 inches. I think that's probably more my preferred look for a winter sweater when it comes to the ranunculus. Another really easy modification you can make is on the length. I've seen some very cropped versions, which I think are extremely cute. Out of the 2 that I have completed, this one is my more cropped version. And the way I did this was that I stopped knitting right above my natural waist. I've had some questions from people about what is my natural waist, and I always think of that as the smallest point on your waist. For me, that's right above my belly button, and it's the smallest circumference when you measure. So what I did is I stopped my stockinette body right above that point, and then I proceeded to do about 2.5–3 inches of twisted ribbing. And so because of that, it's hitting me right here. This point right here is hitting me at my smallest point, and I find that to be a very flattering look universally with dresses, high-waisted pants, shorts, skirts, whatever it is I'm wearing, that length will work with. This length, I did a little bit longer and I did a little bit shorter ribbing. So this is about 1.5 inches, possibly closer to 2 inches on the ribbing. And I also knit the body of this about 1 inch longer than I did my other one. So this is the one that I made to wear mainly with pants. If I'm wearing a top over a dress, I do like it to be a little bit more cropped and hit me at my natural waist. If I'm wearing a top with pants, I prefer it to definitely cover my waistband or be able to French tuck it. So to me, this was a good length for that. I'm currently working on this third ranunculus. I have split for sleeves and I'm working down the body on this. And I think that this one is also going to end at my natural waist. I'm going to make it the same length as this cropped version. I am also going to do 3/4 length sleeves on this, and I am knitting this one with a sport weight yarn from the Wandering Flock in a summer base. So this base has alpaca, linen, silk, and cotton, I believe. So it's a really nice summertime base, and I am going to do 3/4 length sleeves with an I-cord cuff. So I'm very excited to get this finished up. So those are all basically summer or plant fiber ranunculi, but a modification I think is just so much fun I have seen is a wintertime ranunculus that has a really big fold over or funnel neck collar to it. So you can easily do that by taking the number of stitches that is called for in the pattern, and instead of only knitting the 8 rows that it calls for when you have your 60 stitches, or if you want to do 70 stitches, I think that for that type of collar I would go with the 60 stitches. So what I would do is using a German twisted cast on so that it can easily pull over your head, or a tubular cast on. I think that would be a nice opportunity for a tubular cast on if I was using a worsted weight winter woolly yarn. I would German twisted cast on is 60 stitches, and then I would knit for about 6 inches. That way you could either wear it scrunched down or folded over. And then you can go straight into your pattern as normal. Another really fun modification I think that I haven't actually seen done, but it's very possible that it has been, is a split hem. Now what I think would be really fun about this would be to, for instance, have this done split for your sleeves and then only knit about 1 inch of the body in stockinette, and then at that point you're going to start knitting flat. So you will turn whenever you come to your beginning of round side marker, and what I would do personally is just turn 3 of those stitches into an I-cord. So you're going to slip those stitches like you do an I-cord, knit around half, turn, slip those stitches, and knit back and forth around half of it till you get to your preferred length. With the I-cord edging, you're not going to have to go back and pick anything up and finish anything. Instead, it's going to have that nice, neat finished edge. You can put the back stitches on hold while you do that. And then once you have cast off the front, you can go back and pick up those stitches, or take them off of hold, I should say, if you've had them on some scrap yarn. And then you'll do the exact same thing, knitting flat back and forth on the back with 3 stitches on each side as an I-cord, or 2 stitches on each side as an I-cord. And using the split hem, what you could do at that point is even knit your back like 1 inch longer, or keep it at the exact same length as the front, whichever you would prefer to do. And I think with a very open, flowy, lightweight gauge and fabric, this would be the ultimate summer top. I think it would be so cute and a lot of fun and breezy. Okay, let's go back to the collar again. Another modification I have seen done, including my friend Mega from Skeins of Dreams, she has done this, is to not do ribbing at the collar at all, but instead do an I-cord cast on. So you cast on the number of stitches, and I would probably do 90 stitches. That way it's going to easily go over your head. I-cord doesn't have a lot of stretch. You don't want it to be too tight to fit over your head. So I would do, 80 or 90 stitches and do an I-cord cast on, and then move straight into the section where you have that first row after your ribbing. And that row has you increased to 90 stitches. So if you're already at 90 stitches, simply knit that row. If you did 80 stitches, you're going to evenly increase 10 stitches throughout the circle. While we're speaking of I-cord edges, you can also just complete the entire sweater with all of your edges being I-cord. So you cast on, I-cord cast on. Once you split for sleeves, if you choose to do any length of sleeve, then you would finish it with an I-cord bind off. And then once you reached your bottom hem and that you have reached the length that you like, then you would at that point bind off with an I-cord bind off. I want to recommend making sure that you do this loosely enough while still keeping it neat, but you don't want it to be too tight. I-cords definitely tend to tighten up on you. You've got 2 stitches in the length of 1, so you're definitely cinching in with an I-cord bind off. Another fun modification is color blocking and stripes. So you can really play with scrap yarn or single skeins. If you have 3 single skeins, you could stripe those in, you could color block them in, and you can use up those single 1 color skeins but still get a full finished garment out of it. Last but not least, I think you can make a bit of a vest out of this top. And a way that I would recommend doing that, as in, when I say this, I mean you're planning on wearing it over other things, over other shirts or collared shirts, or however you like to wear a vest, then I would recommend, first of all, keeping the neck pulled in so that it doesn't have everything pulling down lower onto your shoulders. So definitely start with a 60 stitch with the 60 stitches, and then go ahead, put those stitches on hold, and then finish them off with an I-cord bind off. That's going to really keep this section small. It's not going to lengthen it down the shoulder. You can still get that sort of simple cap sleeve look to it, but not a lot of fabric that's falling down the sides. And then I would finish it off with ribbing at the bottom. I think this would be really cute worn over collared shirts and give that sort of slip over vibe, but still have that pretty lace on it. It would be a lovely, unique look. All right, y'all, that is all for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you have a modification that you have done or you recommend, like modifying the lace on the yoke or whatever it is that you like to do, let us know in the comments, because I have many ranunculi in my future and I would love to hear your suggestions on how to make it a little bit different than the last one that I made. Also, don't forget to click the link in my description to check out Merit Beauty. Great, simple, non-comedogenic makeup company. I hope you are finding joy in whatever making you're able to indulge in this week. And until next time, happy knitting, y'all.